Welcome to Binge-worthy. It's a new one for us. We're doing this live from our nest instead of live from the Viewbox.
So technically not live.
Right.
Because we don't, well, we have a cat. Audience.
We have a couple of cats here. So, and they're probably going to be as loud as our normal audience for us. So,
they have ruined many a podcast. Although so have I, so I guess.
Yes, true. I have to edit all of you.
Oh my God.
All these things.
I'm the worst.
So I'm Rob Southgate. With me is
Martha Southgate.
And today we are talking the BBC's Sherlock.
Yep.
Martha, you want to give us a little background on this one?
Well, let's see. It was created by Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat. And we also do a Doctor Who podcast. So
yes, we're very familiar with Stephen Moffat.
Yes,
and Mark Gatiss actually
he was a writer.
But he's on this.
Yes.
He's on
Mycroft.
Yeah, he's Mycroft, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know that before we did this.
Yes, and I love him.
Oh, he's great on the show.
And so we've got, let's see, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes, which is my favorite name to say. I actually teach acting, and that's my signature warm-up. I make them enunciate Benedict Cumberbatch or Benedict Cumberbun or Cumbersquash Cumbernails. I change it every time. I do. I love saying Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay.
I do.
Well, you're in the right place.
Yes.
So I get to say it this time, less eloquently. So yeah, him. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Because now that's awkward if I do it, you know.
Yeah, right.
Martin Freeman. Okay.
Yes, which
we
is
loved
amazing.
him so much on
Fargo. And
yeah.
he's the Hobbit. He's Bilbo.
Yeah. Rupert Graves.
Yes.
Una Stubbs.
Yes.
Mark Gatiss, Louise Brealey.
I mean, this cast.
Andrew Scott and Amanda Abington. Now,
this cast is amazing.
Una Stubbs has known Benedict since he was 4 years old because she acted with his mother.
Right.
And a little other fun fact.
Well, and she's the house mother. She's the one who owns the building. I know. I can't remember anybody's name.
Shut up. No.
It's so typical of our show.
Okay, wait. We're coming back because that's for realsies.
Yeah.
How could we
and
forget
she's
her
such
name?
an important character in the Sherlock mythos.
Mrs. something. No. But anyway.
Mrs. something.
Benedict's parents are actually play his parents on the show.
Now that's cool. I didn't know that.
And there are things like that I wish I knew before we started. So any of you who are planning on watching, like when we give it our good review, that hopefully you'll want to watch it, and then you'll watch it knowing those little things, and I think it'll add to your experience.
I'm sure anyone would be completely surprised that we're going to give it a good review.
Okay,
although we do have some things to talk about.
But wait, I gotta find
Mrs. Hudson. She's the one.
How could we forget Mrs. Hudson?
Well, you know what? I just drew a blank there, and that tends to happen on this show.
Well, and it's nighttime. And
it's always nighttime when we record this one.
Yeah. We need to record at like 7 a.m. Then we might. Well, you're not good then.
No.
I could record at 5 a.m. and be hopped up. Like I am a morning person.
There's an episode of Nuff Said where Jack and I recorded at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards he said it sounded like I had a stroke.
No.
He was like, "What was wrong with you?" I'm not a good morning
no, you're
person.
not good. I love the morning. I could totally do that. But anyway. Let's talk about Sherlock. Less about us.
So there's 4 seasons.
Yes. Okay.
And each season
13 episodes.
Yeah. Each season has 3 episodes, and they're like an hour and a half each.
Yeah, there are 13 episodes total. So this is a perfect binge watch. Now we went in thinking, we're just going to watch the first season. Oh my gosh. I think in like a couple of days we had watched
especially
all
since
of
it's
them.
like watching a movie. Each one is like a movie. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, this isn't like a regular show to binge. Once you do season 1, that's like binging the first 3 Star Wars movies or whatever.
Yeah.
No, we couldn't stop.
No, it was really good.
Although, I want to give an although here.
What?
I do.
What's with your although?
I did not love the final episode. I don't want to give spoilers about it, but I didn't love the final episode, but I think it's worth pushing through and watching it in order.
Well, I have known other people who loved it.
So have I.
So I think it's worth watching it and forming your own opinion.
Yes.
But yeah, it's one of those that to me seems a bit controversial. You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, it is kind of polarizing. It's like the final episode of The Sopranos. And actually,
which
truthfully, I did love the final episode. Truthfully, this might be the final episode of Sherlock.
No. Oh, because
Yes.
he's got other stuff going on.
Well, the way they set this up, if you watch this episode, they wrapped a lot up.
Yes.
And they said, we don't know. They're not signed for another season.
Mm-hmm.
Both Martin Freeman and Cumberbatch are extremely busy.
Yeah.
And this takes a lot. I mean, it's like filming 3 movies each season.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's tough. As much as I want to see every year, I want 3 of these. I want this to never end. This was so great.
It was really great. And
but at the same time, this might have been it. This might be like the Nolan Batman movies. You got 3 Nolan Batman movies and he's done.
Yeah.
And they were great. You're like, oh my gosh, he's done. Same thing here.
Well, it originally aired in 2010, summer of 2010. So it's taken a little while, for all these to kind of come out, and
right,
as a lot of British shows do.
Right. Well, that's one of the things we've talked about a lot on here, and Netflix has kind of followed that suit, and Hulu, obviously, these pay services where, like the BBC shows, they're more concerned with getting the show right than pumping out 22 or 24 episodes a year.
And I love that because we've tried binging. Oh my gosh. When we go back and we binge network TV after the fact, it is exhausting. I'm like, for crying out loud.
They go on forever, and
they're
there's
endless.
A lot of filler.
22 episodes is a lot.
There's a lot of filler.
Yeah.
Well, I remember back when, here's how old I am. Back in, I believe, junior high when Moonlighting was on.
Oh, I loved Moonlighting. We need to do a throwback and do Moonlighting.
But Moonlighting,
Molly would love that.
Did that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did 12 episodes or anything like that, but they were not, they went like an entire year not being on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came back and it was like, okay, new season. It wasn't like, we weren't renewed. It was, we're not bringing it back until this is right.
Yeah.
And they took their time. It was not on the same schedule as a lot of shows. Twin Peaks did a similar thing. They did one season. It was only like 10 episodes or something.
I think the first season was 6.
And then
or something. And then that went.
There was this hiatus, and then it came back and it did like 22 episodes. But it was a long time before they brought those 22 out. And then they stopped.
It's
really weird, but they wanted it to be what it was, this finite thing. And if you watch a show like that, it's like watching a Breaking Bad where it is a story that doesn't have filler.
Right.
You don't feel like we're treading water we've treaded before.
And that's what
that's what's happening here.
Well, and this stuff is just brilliant. But when we do other shows that are network, and it's like 22, we're trying to, or when we do Once Upon a Time, and we do every single episode. That's not a binge worthy. That is every single episode, and it's been 6 years.
You know what? We've never done a binge worthy about that show, and I think we should, because.
But I'm trying to make a point here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But it is grueling to try to record that many, and when you're trying to watch them as a binge, it's like just feels endless. Molly and I have been doing Gilmore Girls, and we're finally on season 7, and I love it so much.
Yeah, you don't want it to end.
But at the same time, it's like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. We have been watching this for months, and we're not done yet.
Right.
And
all we want to do is get to the Netflix, the like reimagining, or the
I want to see the movies.
The sequel that's happened now, and it's like.
Like a mini series.
Oh my gosh. Now I understand, that was especially a show like that was network TV, and that is how network has always done it. Now you're getting some that are breaking form. It's more cable and pay services that are really breaking form. Frankly, I like tight storytelling. I don't like a lot of filler. That's why when we get a show, even one of these 12 episode things, if they waste our time with a filler,
right,
I'm not as interested. Well, okay, back to Sherlock.
But anyway,
we didn't really have filler here.
Oh gosh, no. And you know what? The acting is so amazing, and the
oh my gosh, Cumberbatch.
It is hilarious, and I love. I think Mark Gatiss was the one. He said that he was looking for him to be Asperger-ish.
Yeah.
And as someone who's on the spectrum, I sit and watch it and go, oh, I love him. I love seeing
totally is hitting
those
all the notes.
elements in that I struggle with, and I mean certainly not to his level on the show. I wish I had that brilliance and everything to go along with it, but
he's got other issues though you really don't need.
No, but the quirks and everything, and just kind of watching all of that,
that social interaction and some of that awkwardness
it is so well played, and it is just.
But he doesn't have that.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
And that's what's amazing.
And it's so nice to watch it not be made fun of or not be a character.
Of it.
It's not an over the top character stereotype. It's just him. It's just his personality, and Cumberbatch does it so spot on.
Well, and Martin Freeman's Watson is something that can get overlooked because he's not as quirky.
Mm-hmm.
But this is acting that's
so,
beyond again.
Love
if
him.
you watch him in Fargo and then
he's
you watch
totally
him in
different.
He has his actor tells, as does Cumberbatch, as does every actor.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just chameleons where there is no Johnny Depp. Everyone used to always go like, wow, he's just a different person each time. No, if you watch a Johnny Depp thing, you know how Johnny Depp's, he's got mannerisms that Tom Hanks has them. They're just there. Martin Freeman has these, but my gosh, I can watch them all day.
Mm-hmm.
And him as Watson, it is such a complex character.
Yeah.
The very beginning of the series, when we're first meeting them, is something that will stay with me forever.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the very first thing we see is Watson dealing with his post-traumatic stress.
Yes.
And we find out all these things really, really well done, where we find out he obviously had something to do in the war. He's obviously been injured somehow, and his life is rough right now. They don't go into a lot of explanation. We see some flashes of things, but all this story is there, and it tells us all this stuff about Watson up front. Then the next thing that happens is one of my favorite things ever on a show.
Are you going to spoil it?
I'm not going to.
Or are you going to tell him to just go watch it?
I'm going to tell him to watch it. I'm just going to say it's when Lestrade, the police commissioner, is sitting there and he's giving like a press conference. And what happens is so fantastic. And it stayed with me. Now you and I binged this.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick last year. I was laying in bed watching TV, I just wasn't feeling good. And I thought, I'm gonna try Sherlock. Everyone was raving about it. I fell asleep right away.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick. But that moment stayed with me. And this whole time since then, when you would say like, oh, what should we watch? I'm like, hey, how about we try Sherlock? And we kept kind of not doing it. It was that scene that I was like,
it's driving you
I'm
nuts.
Dying to see this again because I love it so much.
It was. Yeah.
It was
but
him.
I have so many
the whole
like
thing
that.
about him and he wasn't even on the screen.
Right.
It was beautiful.
But see, and that's just it. That's what's so special about this show is that there are so many, I can think of so many scenes like that make me just want to be there.
Yeah.
It makes me just want to watch it again. It makes me want to experience it again and talk about it again, and on this show we can't really do too much of
we
that
try not to do any spoilers
because we want you to watch it
whether you should watch it or not.
But in this case, there's
and
so
what's funny
much.
Is we've talked about how
you might need to start a support group. So you
most
can
of these
talk about
binge-worthies we have been super positive about stuff. Oh my gosh, this one!
Yeah, this one.
I mean, how are we not? Now I want to highlight something.
Oh, okay.
Did you have something?
Well, I wanted to say that a really fun fact I think about this show is that before when they were auditioning,
Fun Facts with Martha. No,
sure.
No,
no, not really.
People are like, no, don't.
Well, and I'm usually wrong, but this time I'm right. But
fun facts.
Fact-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Matt Smith auditioned to be Sherlock. And so this was before anyone knew him.
Yeah, okay.
And
so this is pre
so
anything.
He goes in and auditions and they rejected him. But Moffat, Stephen Moffat, cast him as the 11th Doctor.
Oh, because he remembered him from that?
He watched him audition and he was like, oh, he's horrible for Cumberbatch. But oh my gosh, for Sherlock. Well,
Yeah. Because Cumberbatch
he now created everyone else will be benchmark. That'll be like the benchmark.
Speaking of Nolan's Batman, everybody looks at Heath Ledger's Joker now and says, there have been great portrayals.
Yeah.
There have been great Sherlocks.
But are
Robert
you
Downey
going
Jr.
to
does
get
a great
to
Sherlock.
that? Yeah, but
this when I think of Sherlock, this is what I'm
picture
looking for.
him.
We went and saw a play that was about Sherlock, and the whole time I was looking for the little tells that the person who played Sherlock watched this show.
But in this case, there were like 5 Sherlocks.
Yes, there were. It was
so
great.
So that made it fun.
It was great.
But anyway, so I loved that was where we got Matt Smith, and he's one of our favorite doctors.
Oh, yeah.
And so to me, that was a really fun little thing to know. Also going, just kind of
that's really
together.
Cool. Well, and his portrayal as the doctor, you can see why like his agents would want him to go for this, because he's
quirky.
And that's probably what they were looking for.
I think they called him, their exact quote,
like eccentric, quirky, intelligent,
which is a British term. They said he was rejected for being too, quote, barmy. It says, as the producers required someone straighter for once. Let me see. I'm going to Google.
What barmy means? You're like throwing the guy under the bus.
What barmy means.
I'm not barmy. Well, barmy is probably quirky. That's
crazy.
My guess. Yeah.
Mad and crazy. So they wanted somebody who would be much more straight, serious.
Right.
And Cumberbatch really doesn't have much humor.
In
the show. I mean, Sherlock.
He does. His performance is hilarious, but
he's not laughing at other. People are laughing at him, but he's
Matt Smith would have been too. He would have been too charactery.
Yeah.
For this,
but he's the perfect. He's
perfect as the doctor, and it's funny because during Matt Smith's time, there was always, because of Stephen Moffat doing both of these shows, there was always stuff you'd see about people wanting a Doctor Who and Sherlock like crossover. Oh, would that ever happen? It's never going to happen. That would be, you could have a Sherlock on Doctor Who, but you're not going to have this Sherlock and this guy in space showing up. No, that ruins the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But while I was watching Sherlock, I kept feeling like I could see him turning a corner and those two go off and do something. Like it fits so well. Do I want that to happen? No, that ruins it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Oh, you heard it here.
But
don't do that.
I bet it makes some great fan fiction of him picking up Sherlock like, I have a problem. I'm going to pick you up. The one thing I can't solve, but I bet you can. I bet that would be so much fun.
Yes.
And to watch like Amy Pond and or Clara and Watson have to deal with each other.
Oh my gosh.
Watson and Clara would be amazing.
Love each other.
Yeah, Watson and Clara would be amazing.
Yeah, they would.
And they would both be like, "Oh my gosh, this is who I'm with." I mean, it would just be great.
Yeah.
So, okay. Do we have any other notes on it, or should we get into what we do?
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it. Okay. Yeah. So we always try to figure out what it is for binge worthy. I know what we're going to see. I'm sure everybody's sitting there like, you're broadcasting what it is. But we say, is it binge worthy or not? That's the first question.
Mm-hmm.
Second question is, do you binge it all at once? Should you space it out? Or what was the third thing? It was like, it's worth the watch. It's worth the watch, space it out, or binge the hell out of it. What do you say, Martha? Is it binge worthy,
first of all, absolutely binge worthy.
Okay, that's two definite yeses.
Binge the heck out of it. There's nothing about it that would. It's no first season of True Detective, which is once again the benchmark.
Haven't gotten through.
I know, but that's the benchmark for space it out because you can't survive.
It so much.
This one you could watch them back to back to back. I mean, if you have that many hours in your day and in your week, then go for it because you will not regret it. It is so fantastic. But
now wait, I'm going to say something different.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say something totally different. I agree. It is totally worth binging.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be an asterisk.
Okay.
The first time I've done this on this show, I think you should space it out. And I'll tell you why. Is it totally worth binging? Yes, 100%. We both have the same vote. But the asterisk to mine is it's so short. It's such few episodes. And since they are an hour and a half long, binge it like one a day. So you can drink it in.
Mm-hmm.
Because for us, we watched like 2 a night, and the anticipation was so great. Like, we were dying to get to it the next night.
Mm-hmm.
If you did 1 a night, you would have a fabulous couple of weeks of every night watching a Sherlock. And by the end, there's no way you're going to make it where you're not going to have a couple of nights where you do 2.
But that's also.
But I think that adds to the
that's
fun.
Not spacing it out.
But it is compared to what we usually say. Usually we say binge it. It's like, you got 12 hours, binge it.
Well, that's impossible with this because they're so long.
And nothing's impossible.
Yeah, they really are. Because it's
like 20 hours.
Yeah, you have to sleep and eat and,
What's the sleep you speak of?
Although we just eat right there in front of it.
Yeah, right. We're in our nest. We're watching.
But I think that that's what it is. It's just keep going.
Really spacing
you're
out,
going to start it. Well, to me, spacing it out means
it.
You're going to be putting other shows in between.
Right. Like True Detective.
Trying to survive.
Space it the heck
That is
out.
I need 3 years.
But that's why I wanted to throw an asterisk. I wanted to say, do yourself a favor and try to do like 1 a day just so you can drink it in more.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more thing for this. So we came to our determination, binge it. It's awesome. But my one other thing I want to bring up, the portrayal of Moriarty is beyond belief. I think his Moriarty is their version of Heath Ledger's Joker. It is spectacular. No spoilers about anything that happens, but I think it lights up this character in really interesting ways. He's been portrayed so many different ways. This was so unique, extremely different. Once again, no matter what I see of Moriarty going forward, I pretty much have this in my head. So
yeah, I agree.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
This is it. No, I promise. This is it. After you finish binging this, because you're going to, right? Watch Mr. Holmes with Ian McKellen. That's where he plays old Sherlock Holmes. He might be the same Sherlock, only old. Seriously. Okay. There's a lot there. So I highly recommend this movie. After you binge this, I think it'll add a very special note to the end. There you go. Are we done, Mark?
Very cool. Yeah.
All right. We will put all of our social media in our show notes. We do have a Twitter account. Follow us at SMG Binge for Southgate Media Group. And like I said, everything's in our show notes. Follow us, favorite us, and please give us some ratings and reviews. That's it. Until next time, keep binging.